Arne Slot is working wonders at Liverpool in such a short amount of time, sitting second in the table with only one loss. But how is he doing so well, so fast? He was doubted by many people because of the man he had replaced, but he seems to be doing incredibly well. So let's see how he's slotting into life. Never mind. Slot's play style and tactics come from his deep desire to keep possession and maintaining control of his opponent. But the unique thing about Slot, he doesn't just belong to one playing style. His play styles aren't just influenced by one or two people, or he gets his inspiration from a certain style. His variety of play styles have been compared to the likes of Ange Postecoglou, Pep, De Zerbi and even Klopp, all in one, depending on his game plan. Liverpool seem to have a master tactician as their new head coach. He changes his play styles and tactics depending on the opponent in front of him. But what you would typically see in a starting 11 is a 4-2-3-1. But in attack, one defensive midfielder pushes up into another 10 role, and the two fullbacks also push up into midfield, creating almost a 2-3 in build-up play, which helps push the whole team up the pitch, containing the opposition in their half, making it incredibly hard to play out of, thus complementing Slot's desire to control the game. But for me, what makes him stand out the most is his versatility. Although he likes to build his attacks through possession and build-up play, he can adapt, like I said. Liverpool very recently drew 2-2 with Arsenal away at the Emirates, and there was something I noticed while I was watching the game. Instead of building up play and using short passes, Kelleher kept playing long balls up to Salah and Diaz, and it was working. They were getting balls in because Arsenal was having the defensive line so high. Kelleher was putting the balls over the top and they were dropping right at Salah and Diaz's feet, and a few times they created attacks and big chances from these positions, and it was working, a new and refreshed way to try and find a way to attack the opponent when Arsenal were pressing really high. And it just shows his intellect, constantly trying to find new ways to attack and break down the opponent. Arne Slot is an absolute mastermind, and the thing that stood out to me most, he isn't afraid to make the ugly or the hard decisions. For example, the first game of the season, Liverpool played Ipswich away, and in the first half they played well, but they were struggling to create big chances, and they were also offering themselves up to be attacked, and defensively they were making some mistakes. I remember watching the game. So he made a big call at half time. He took Jarell Quansah off and put Konate on, and they ended up winning the game 2-0. And since then, Konate has played every minute possible under Slot. And I always think something that makes the greatest managers stand out from the good managers is the ones that aren't afraid to make the decision. You see it so many times when a manager, quite frankly, hasn't got the bottle to make the huge calls and make a change when it's needed, but he does. I've seen it a couple of times so far this season, against Arsenal as well, which we'll touch back on very shortly. But he isn't afraid to make these big decisions, and I think it makes him stand out as a manager. But having good tactics is one thing. Do they actually work? Well, clearly they sit second in the table. They've lost just one game so far this season. But it isn't just in attack where they're being successful. They have the most clean sheets in the league, second most completed passes in the league, and they have the most wins in the league. Even when you dive deeper into the statistics and analytics, they're doing well even there, which is very important to him. But it's not just the team as a whole that's doing really well. There is individual players that are having fantastic seasons so far under Slot. And there is one player in particular that seems to have revived his career since Slot's arrival, but I'll come back to him very soon. Luis Diaz has really hit the ground running this season, and Arne Slot is having a huge impact on his game. He already has 5 goals and 2 assists in 9 appearances, which compared to his 8 goals and 5 assists in 37 appearances last season, well, the numbers talk for themselves. And for Mo Salah, he seems to be back to his best with some incredible form, with huge goals against Chelsea, Man United and Arsenal so far this season, and a staggering 6 goals and 5 assists in the league so far. He just looks incredible again, and it's really good to see. I think towards the back end of the Klopp era, things started to go a bit stale between Salah and the manager, so I think it's really benefited him, a new manager coming in and maybe giving him some new motivation, but he looks incredible so far this season. Look, there are loads of players doing well under Slot so far this season, but if we were talking about them, we'd be here for hours. So before I get to a player that I think has really revived his career, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But Ryan Gravenberch seems to have really got going under Arne Slot. Last season there were question marks around him, not getting a good run of games. Endo was always in their team ahead of him, and let's be real, some pretty underwhelming performances. But since Slot's arrival, he's been top 5 players in the league for me this season. What really sticks out for me is his performance against Manchester United away. He was impeccable, played a huge role in one of the goals, breaking up play, turning over possession and getting on the front foot that subsequently resulted in a goal. And for me, he's such a unique player. He's so big and strong, like a centre-back. But his almost lanky frame and long legs make him really hard to dispossess, and he's incredible at regaining and maintaining possession. And if Liverpool are going to go on and win anything this season, I think he's going to be one of the core components in winning anything. I mean, he seems to be controlling games. It's like he's woken up and just realised how good he is. I know that sounds really stupid to say, but it's almost like he maybe wasn't confident last season. But this season, he looks like a completely different player. He looks like a brand new signing. I mean, he was signed in the same transfer window as Szoboszlai and McAllister, and he struggled to get in. Like I said, Klopp was picking Endo over him, and he wasn't getting a good run of games, but now he looks like a revived player. He looks like a new player, new signing, he looks hungry. And again, if Liverpool are going to do anything this season, he's going to be in the heart of it. He's going to control the games in leading to some huge, huge victories. But when you sit and listen to Arne Slot talk about football, he's incredibly interesting to listen to. And you can tell he loves the technical side of the game. And he has a really great personality as well. I mean, after the thrashing Liverpool gave Man United, he schooled Ten Hag tactically and then went on to national TV and broke down exactly how he beat Ten Hag's system. I mean, how embarrassing is that? You've been picked apart by a manager that's only been there a matter of months, and then he's gone on to live telly and ripped you to pieces, broke down your game plan, knew exactly how you were going to play, and he's gone on there and essentially clowned you. But I want to know what you think about Arne Slot so far this season, especially if you're a Liverpool fan. Let me know what you think and how you feel about his appointment down in the comments. And I know he caught a lot of people off guard with how well he started, and I know the people that are going to be most surprised are the Liverpool board. We all know that they wanted Xabi Alonso in, so it wasn't even like Arne Slot was their first choice, but he is on fire. And to some people, it may just be a fluke or a lucky run of games, which, by the way, he has come out and said that he finds it funny that before he moved to the Premier League, people warned him that it wasn't easy and it wasn't going to be easy. But now he's here, people are saying that he's had an easy run of games and he's had an easy start to the season just because he's had a good start. He says he's quite surprised at that, but it isn't that he's just getting results. He has his team really well disciplined and drilled already. I mean, they went toe-to-toe with Arsenal, who, by the way, finished second in the league in the past 2 seasons, and they still came away with a point. But he came out and openly admitted that in that game, Liverpool were getting overrun by Arsenal, and that he had to make changes, and which he did do, and look, Liverpool salvaged a point, and it just goes back to that fact that he's willing to make them big choices and big decisions. He needed to change something in the midfield. They were getting overrun constantly in the middle of the park. It wasn't long after half-time he brought Szoboszlai, Tsimikas and Gakpo on, and Salah ended up bagging a goal and they got the point, which was huge for them. I think this point was a lot bigger for Liverpool than it was for Arsenal, because Arsenal dropped points, and obviously Arsenal are like constantly chasing this Premier League. No one was expecting Liverpool to be in the title race, but they are. And I think a huge part of this comes down to his tactics and his play style and his drive to really win something. People underestimated them. Now, I'm going to say something pretty controversial here, but I do think that Klopp left at the right time. At the time, it shocked a lot of people and devastated Liverpool fans. I mean, there was literally grown men crying over the announcement of his departure. But I mean, it caught so many people off guard. They were still very much challenging for trophies, and they had just invested in a whole new midfield not long before. But I do think it was the right time for Klopp to leave. He said he was tired, and it is unimaginable what kind of stress that must put on someone doing that job for 9 years straight at the highest level in the hardest league. And I think things were slightly starting to go sour with players. He was always arguing with the media, constantly complaining about game schedules. So I do think it was the right time. But to not leave under bad circumstances, and a new manager's come in and started incredibly well. I mean, Jurgen Klopp vouched for Arne Slot, and he's come in, he's revived Liverpool, he's got Liverpool out swinging again. They look like they're, even in just the opening games, they look like they're challenging for these big results. The last couple of seasons, I think sometimes Liverpool maybe struggled. They were up there contending for the title last season, and then towards the back end of the season, they picked up a pretty bad run of games, and things were starting to go a bit sloppy, especially defensively, which Arne Slot has come in and changed and revived that defence with new tactics and play styles and a different mentality. Players are smiling again, the fans love him already. I genuinely think that the board thought this might be quite a quick layover until they could get their hands on the likes of Xabi Alonso, and now they're thinking, like, wow, this could be a long-term project again. And I genuinely believe that if Liverpool don't win a major trophy this year, they 100% will win one next year. I'm calling it. I think Slot is a great addition to the Premier League, tactically and personality-wise, and I think he can get them challenging for trophies and titles already in his debut season. Liverpool went out in surprising fashion against Atalanta in the Europa League last season, and they're in the Champions League and they've not lost a game yet. They're playing really well. But I think you can get a real gist. Look how long it took Erik ten Hag. Look how long it took for Arsenal to start believing in the project of Arteta. It's took years, whereas this guy's already got the ball rolling. He's got his team well drilled, determined, hungry. He seems to have given them a new life. I think it was the right time for Klopp to leave and a new manager come in. And I think he could start giving Arsenal and City a run for their money. I think there's going to be a third horse in this race now. It was always between Liverpool and City. Liverpool started to come down a bit, Arsenal started to go up a bit. I think we're going to see it get a bit more interesting now. Huge game. I think it's on December 1st, City versus Liverpool. That is going to be an unbelievable game, and see how the league progresses. Until then, we've got a month till then. It could be a very exciting, interesting game. If you have enjoyed this video, please slap that like button, and while you're here, subscribe and click that notification bell. It helps me massively. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.